Southern Hospitality by J.W. Robertson. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved. A little girl, aged about 10 years old, dressed in a white sundress covered in flowers, skips along a dirt road. The edges of her floppy sun hat bounce up and down as she skips. When she gets to the entrance of the garden, she slows to a walk. She enters and slowly looks at all the various flowers. She sees roses, peonies, marigolds, and a variety of other flowers. She sees honeysuckle, wisteria, and more climbing plants. She thinks she sees blackberries and raspberries way in the back. She thinks, how does this all grow so well? I've never seen anybody else with a garden this large. She follows the garden path to the nearby house. She walks onto the porch, and she knocks loudly on the door. She looks at the various objects on the wooden porch. She sees an old rocking chair, a birdhouse, and an ancient-looking wooden wind chime. It's so old. It's like bone. The door opens, and a beautiful middle-aged woman peers out. She has a look of surprise on her face. In a silky voice, she asks, "What do you want?" "Well, we just moved in. My mom asked me to bring the neighbors some gifts." "I don't need any gifts," replies the woman, and she moves to close the door. However, before the door can close, the little girl places a basket in the door jamb. "Oh, don't worry, it's nothing big. It's just some home-cooked muffins. Bye!" The little girl turns around before the woman can reply, and she skips off the porch. The woman, once again surprised, peers into the basket, and she sees a half-dozen muffins. She raises her shoulders up and down and closes the door. A few days later, the little girl knocks loudly again. The door opens, and the woman quickly tries to get rid of the girl by swiftly handing the girl the basket and closing the door. However, as soon as the door opens, the girl blurts out, "Did you like them?" "Well, yes." The girl runs off, and over her shoulder she yells, "Okay." The woman raises an eyebrow and thinks, "So peculiar. She moves before I can act." A week later, the woman hears a loud knocking again. "I never get visitors. Now this new neighbor won't leave me alone." She opens the door, and she's ready to scold the little girl, but she sees her skipping away down the garden path. Her nose fills with the scent of freshly baked muffins, and she eyes the little girl's basket sitting on the porch. A few days later, the woman is sitting outside in her rocking chair, and the little girl entering her garden catches her eye. The little girl bends over and peers at all the plants, but she never touches the thing. If she did, the woman would let her have it. When she gets near the house, she notices the woman. "Hi," says the little girl. "Good morning," replies the woman. "Did you like the muffins?" Before she answers yes, and before the girl runs off, the woman wants to have a small conversation with the girl. "Can I ask you some questions?" "Sure," responds the little girl. "How did you find me?" "What do you mean? I live next door." The little girl has a puzzled look on her face. "Well, a lot of people usually don't see the entrance to my garden." "Really? That's crazy. It's so full of color. How can they miss it?" The woman gives the little girl an intense stare. "Aren't you afraid of me?" The little girl giggles. "Why? You're so nice and beautiful, and your garden is amazing." "Last question. Do you know about the rumors about me?" "My mama says to ignore people's fat lips, and to be nice to all your neighbors, because they are all like extended family. When you need help, your neighbors can be there for you." "Your mama's pretty smart. Here's your basket, and one last thing. Don't touch my plants." "Mama said, don't touch other people's stuff. It's like stealing." The little girl grabs the basket and skips off through the garden. She looks inside, then she runs back. "Hey, there's some money in here." "It's for the muffins. Keep bringing them, and I will pay." "Wow," says the little girl. "That will help Mama out. Thanks." Then she runs off. For the next several months, the little girl randomly drops off a basket of muffins, and the flavors change with the seasons. Carrot, apple, berry, and then chocolate. The woman starts to look forward to her little visitor, and she starts to enjoy the interruptions. Then one day, she hears a little girl crying on her porch. After opening her door, she sees the girl's dress is covered in dirt stains. Her hat is askew, and her basket is empty. "What happened?" she asks. "Some boys found out I was bringing muffins here, and they smashed them." The little girl looks up, and the woman sees a large bruise on her cheek. Her lips press tightly together, and she wipes a tear off the girl's face. "Hold on a minute." She enters her house, and she returns with a cool rag. She wipes the girl's face and hands clean. Then she hands her some money for the muffins. The girl tries to protest. "No, you didn't get any muffins." "Well, it's for next time. You get home, and I'll wait for the next batch, okay?" "Okay." The little girl smiles, and she slowly heads home. The following day, the little girl is walking down the road towards the garden entrance. A beat-up pickup truck slows and stops nearby. A couple of teenage boys hop out. The largest boy stands in front of the girl. "I thought I told you to stay away from this goddamn place." The little girl replies, "My mama says you shouldn't curse, then you can't tell other people what to do. The second boy stands behind her and says, I guess it's time for another lesson. The girl turns and smiles at the boy. As she's smiling, her basket swings into his head. He quickly falls, and his friend yells out, God damn you! The girl swings the basket down and hits the first boy's foot. He hops up and down in pain. She drops her basket, and a large assortment of rocks fall out. She runs past the large boy, and she heads towards the garden entrance. When the boys recover, they see her skipping to the garden, and they quickly follow. When they get to the entrance, they pause a moment as they scan for the girl. They see her standing next to a large blackberry bush in the back of the garden. The boys run off the path towards the girl. You're dead, said the largest boy, right before he trips and falls onto his face. The girl giggles. The other boy hops over his friend and lunges at her. She definitely moves to the side, and the boy flies into the blackberry bush. He screams as the thorns in the bush scratch his skin. He tries to extricate himself from the bush, but the needles seem to penetrate further and further into his skin. He starts yelling at his friend, Help! Get me out! The little girl stands between the two boys and giggles. The first boy tries to rise, but he sees that his leg is wrapped up in a large vine from another plant. Then he feels a tug on his hands and arms. When he looks at his arms, he sees they are now wrapped by more vines. Where the little girl is last standing, the two boys hear a silky female voice. You shouldn't have hurt my neighbor. They slowly turn their heads to look at the source of the voice, and they see a beautiful middle-aged woman. However, her skin appears to be made of bark, and her hair is made of leaves. Her eyes glow green as she looks at the boys. They try to beg and please. Please help us! We're sorry! However, she ignores them, and the plants wrap tighter and tighter around their bodies. Their blood starts to drip and flow. It starts to immediately feed and water the plants. She thinks, Soon, their flesh and bones will feed my plants over the winter. The woman walks through the rest of her garden and inspects the other plants. Once she's done, she enters the main path, and she once again looks human. The two boys can no longer be seen, and a large group of plants in the back of the garden look larger and healthier. A few hours later, a little girl skips in the garden with a basket full of fresh muffins. She sees a woman standing in the pathway. She blurts out, Hi, neighbor, what are you doing? Just getting rid of some pests in the garden. No wonder the garden is so nice. You're always looking after it. Yes I am.